Exclusive contract from Feilu Novel Network Novel. National job transfer. Summoning the Black Shadow Core at the beginning. This is a world where games and reality blend together. Monsters run rampant, secret realms abound, and humans reside within city walls. Only those who transfer jobs are qualified to establish themselves in this world. Humanity has entered the era of nationwide job transfers. Yi Bai transferred to become a Shadow Mage, thinking that he would become a noble Faye. Unexpectedly, he awakened the talent of Shadow Master and gained powerful power. Moreover, by killing monsters and collecting souls, he could unlock the mask ability to summon the Shadow Core for his own use. The endless Shadow Army, where no grass grows. Whether it's demons from other worlds or gods at the end of the world, only I am the master of the shadows. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Shadow Master, Shadow Mask. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Transfer successful. A cold voice echoed in Yi Bai's mind, but he didn't panic and breathed a sigh of relief. Great, the job transfer was successful. This is a data-driven world, where terrifying monsters and dangerous mysteries abound outside the main city where humans reside. Only professionals who have successfully switched jobs are eligible to step out of the main city. Every soon-to-be adult human will come to the job transfer hall after learning the basic knowledge of high school, and the unemployed cannot leave the main city for life and can only waste their lives in factories. Only those who successfully transfer can continue to study the relevant knowledge of professionals. As a time traveler, Yi Bai never felt that the time traveler should be the protagonist, so he was always in a state of fear and trembling before changing jobs. Now that the dust has settled, his hanging heart has also fallen. After calming down his excitement, Yi Bai called out to his attribute panel to see what profession he had switched to. As soon as his thoughts sank into his mind, he felt his thoughts constantly sinking. Yi Bai was a bit puzzled. This scene was completely different from what was taught in the last class at school. Normally, he should have called out the attribute panel directly. But he saw an ocean in his mind that was like an abyss. The pitch-black ocean was dull and lifeless. Just as Yi Bai was puzzled, the sea suddenly rolled and formed 9 whirlpools. Within the whirlpools, fierce faces stared at Yi Bai with hollow eyes. Hiss. Yi Bai suddenly opened his eyes, sweating cold sweat on his forehead, and his heart almost jumped out of his own throat. The pitch-black ocean disappeared, and the attribute panel emitting a milky white light pulled Yi Bai back to reality, but those 9 faces still lingered in his mind. I don't know why I always feel these faces look a bit familiar. What is that? I haven't heard of such a scene when I switched jobs. Did I switch to a senior profession? Yi Bai's eyes lit up. Professionals are also classified. The lowest level professions are often those that lack combat power and auxiliary abilities, such as farmers, fishermen, and so on. Although these professions can provide sufficient material resources and be respected due to their characteristics, they ultimately cannot provide combat effectiveness and directly help humans establish themselves in this dangerous world. Slightly more advanced are life professions that can provide assistance to combat professionals, such as blacksmiths, enchanters, tailors, and chefs. Blacksmiths can craft weapons, enchanters can increase damage to weapons, tailors can use monster fur to sew clothing with special effects, and chefs can cook food with healing or even strengthening effects. These professions may not have direct combat power, but due to the unique nature of their professions, they are treated with respect by combat professionals. Even more advanced are ordinary professionals with combat power, such as warriors, archers, knights, mages, and so on. They are the largest group of human combat professionals and can be considered the backbone. Then comes the powerful combat professions known as advanced or hidden professions, which are rare but all of them are very powerful. They are a small group of humans standing at the tip of the Golden Tower. If you switch to this advanced profession, your future is limitless. Suppressing his excitement, Yi Bai checked his basic attributes. Yi Bai, level 1, occupation. Shadow Mage, Shadow Mage. Yi Bai frowned. This seems to be a variant of the mage profession, not a high-level profession. But those faces in my mind. Yi Bai felt a bit disappointed, but still continued to watch. Power 20, Constitution 20, Agility 30, Spirit 40, Talent. Shadow Master, 1-9, Unique, Skills. Shadow Arrow, LV1, Shadow Binding, LV1, Shadow Arrow. Consumes 10 mana points, deals shadow erosion damage to individual targets, and weakens armor by 10%, Shadow Binding. Consumes 20 mana points, binds individual targets, causes shadow erosion damage, and weakens magic resistance by 10%, this is just a regular mage panel. Yi Bai frowned and suddenly felt something was wrong. A normal non-professional attribute for a newly transferred employee should be 10. His attribute is actually twice that. Only then did Yi Bai realize his difference, and his gaze fell on his panel's talent. Shadow Lord. You have the power of the Shadow Kingdom Lord hidden within your body, and you have obtained exclusive props, the Shadow Mask, Black Shadow Mask, 1-9, unlocked. Nika, Ghost Mask Nika. Can summon the Black Shadow Legion. Ninja Legion, increasing all of your attributes by 100%, and increasing agility attributes by an additional 100%, Shadow Master absorbs Soul Enhancement, current LV1, Soul Absorption can be upgraded to LV2, unlocking the next mask, Black. Black Shadow Core. Yi Bai finally knew what those 9 grotesque faces with hollow eyes were. That's clearly the mask of the generals of the Shadow Corps. Chapter 2. The Gift of Sister. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Registrant, Yi Bai, Professional Shadow Mage, carefully review your profile and sign if there are no issues. The staff at the Job Transfer Center handed several forms to Yi Bai. Oh, thank you. Yi Bai took the form and expressed his gratitude, signing the document representing his official professionalization. Congratulations, Professional Yi Bai. Your identity information has been updated, and you can use the public facilities in the main city for free. Your exit procedures will be issued after you complete the beginner dungeon. The staff handed a special material card to Yi Bai and looked at her with numb envy. The staff are not professionals, but they are ordinary people closest to them. The good treatment and high benefits here prove that their family is still very capable. Unfortunately, even if they work here, they still cannot become professionals, which is an insurmountable barrier. They are like dumbbells in Hogwarts who can only watch those professionals pass by. Taking the newbie staff gifted to the newly transferred employee by the transfer center, Yi Baixing rushed away from the transfer center. Unfortunately, when I returned home, there was no one left, and when I opened the door, only the big golden hair raised at home came out waving its tail to welcome Yi Bai. Pippi, your master and I have successfully transferred jobs now, Yi Bai rubbed big golden hair's head. Unfortunately, my sister and I have both become combat-oriented professionals. We will send you to a pet store for foster care when the time comes. De Jin Mao Pippi clearly couldn't understand Yi Bai's words and grinned. With a silly expression on his face, Yi Bai was about to pat De Jin Mao's head when he suddenly remembered his attributes. The slap of double the power may be a bit bloody. Change the shot to push, Yi Bai pushed aside the big golden hair and walked into the house, only to see the note placed on the table at a glance. Xiao Bai, my exploration team suddenly had some trouble and won't celebrate your job change with you. I have prepared a gift for you in your room. Love your sister. Looking at the graceful handwriting on the note, Yi Bai's face showed a heartwarming smile. Yi Bai's sister, Yi Shuanghan, is only 1 year older than Yi Bai and is now a level 28 Holy Light Pastor. Pastor Shuanghan has both auxiliary therapy and certain offensive abilities, making him a popular profession. As a result, Yi Hanzhuang was successfully admitted to a national university. The universities in this world do not have complicated courses, but rather provide platforms and opportunities to access resources. Therefore, Yi Hanshuang formed an exploration team to clean up monsters and explore dungeons outside the main city. Yi Bai had long been accustomed to his sister not being at home. He smiled and put away the note, then went to his room to find the gift prepared by Yi Hanshuang. That is a pair of war boots. Novice boots, attribute. Increases agility by 2 points and increases foot defense by 10 points. Passive. Lightweight, lightweight. Reduces physical energy consumption by 5% during movement, note. Long-term commitment to equipment development, sales of finished equipment, good equipment, targeting the Iron Bull Chamber of Commerce. This is a piece of equipment created by the Iron Bull Chamber of Commerce, with no equipment requirements, making it very suitable for beginners. For beginners, these 2 agility points can save lives, but for Yi Bai, they are just average. Nijia's mask provides him with twice the agility attribute bonus. But this is my sister's intention. Yi Bai happily put on these leather boots, which fit well and give off a light and ethereal feeling. De Jinmao curiously leaned over to Yi Baijiao and took a sniff, then immediately hid to the side like he had exploded his hair. This type of boots made from exotic animal fur is still too stimulating for dogs. Sherbao. Yi Bai rubbed Big Golden Hair's head. I'll bring you 2 monster bones to grind your teeth in the future. De Jinmao didn't understand what Yi Bai said, but it understood the word bone and wagged its tail excitedly. Now your master, I'm going to level up. Stay at home obediently. Yi Bai vigorously masturbated twice, got up, and was about to go out when something suddenly rang out. He turned around and rushed into the miscellaneous room at home. In no time, he walked out with a spear in hand. It's been so long since I practiced, I don't know if my hand has been born yet. Yi Bai looked at the spear in his hand and weighed it. This spear was given to Yi Bai by Yi Lingyun, the father of Yi Bai's life, using the bones of exotic beasts to polish it. Although it is not an equipment, it is very strong and sharp. Not long after Yi Bai was able to walk, he was grabbed by his father to practice shooting. Not long after, my father and mother upgraded to become big shots, and Yi Bai, who was neither at home nor supervised, became lazy and didn't continue practicing. I didn't expect to be dug up by myself now. Turning his head, he threw aside the novice staff that had no additional attributes but could only help guide magic. Yi Bai looked at the spear in his hand and grinned. Having high attributes, it's better to hold a spear with a new technique staff. You can poke people close and throw a gun far away. He sent golden fur skin to a nearby pet store for foster care, and prepared. Yi Bai stepped onto the bus to the novice dungeon. Chapter 3. More people, right? You are listening at novelfull.audio. The beginner dungeon is located in the outskirts of the city, and you can only take a special car specially prepared for novice professionals to get there. Novice dungeons are only available for novice professionals below level 10, so most of the items on the vehicle are current beginners. Yi Bai's home is not too far from the outskirts of the city, so when he got on the car, he had already seen many beginners gathering together. These are all newcomers who have discussed and planned to form a team. Novice dungeons pose significant risks for beginners. Although teaming up can slow down upgrades, it can also improve security. When Yi Bai got on the car, it immediately caught the attention of the whole car. The reason was simple. The location where Yi Bai got on the car, as well as the boots on his feet. Another reason for attracting others' attention is the location where he boarded the car. The human main city residential area has clear regional divisions, and in general, powerful combat-oriented professionals reside in the closest locations to the outskirts of the city. On the contrary, most people living in urban areas are professionals or ordinary people with a focus on daily life. Even if there is no genetic claim among professionals, new professionals living near the suburbs will always have some paper-based experiences. Paper talk is not a compliment, but experience is real. In addition, with the equipment on Yi Bai's body, those boots are not new equipment gifted by the transfer center. The currency used by professionals and ordinary people is different, and being able to afford equipment is definitely knowledgeable. Such a person almost writes the words "thigh" on their forehead. Not long after Yi Bai sat down, someone came up to invite him to form a team, but he refused them all. Yi Bai had already made up his mind to enter the novice dungeon alone, and the others were a burden to him. Quickly arriving at the location of the novice dungeon, Yi Bai registered with his identity card and officially stepped into the novice dungeon. At this moment, Hanli, who had just completed team registration, happened to see the scene of Yi Bai stepping into the novice dungeon alone. Sleeping trough, look at that person. It's the mage with a spear on the car. He's actually fighting the beginner dungeon alone. Someone in the team noticed Yi Bai's lonely back and exclaimed. Crouching slot, really, really brave. A warrior dressed up laughed, I don't know how high and mighty the world is. A mage actually dares to single-handedly challenge a novice dungeon. Does he think he is a warrior with short skill cooldown, flesh, and damage? It seems he has given up taking the national exam. As a warrior, it is common to despise mages. Maybe they have something, said the other person sourly. These Yi Bai didn't hear them, even if they did, they would only look down upon them. Stepping out of the light gate, Yi Bai finally arrived at the beginner's dungeon. Just as he stood still, what caught his eye were a few green jellies jumping on the grassland. Yi Bai stared at those few jellies and used each professional's inherent ability, identification, slim. Level 1, skill. Split, impact. Novice dungeons emphasize gradual progression, and at the beginning, they encounter monsters with weak attack abilities. Slim, although it's a bit too many, it looks really weak. Yi Bai grinned and casually threw out his spear. The spear let out a whistling sound, and a slime dodged before it could dodge, but was punctured by the spear. You killed slime LV1, experience plus 10, this is an attack from a 14-point power. What does Cricket Slim use to block it? His companion was instantly killed, and it took the naive Slim half a day to react. His face, which couldn't see clearly, turned to Yi Bai and jumped towards her, shaking his body and cracking several cracks. With a bang, 3 slimes split into 15 shrunken slimes and rushed towards Yi Bai. The dozens of slimes, big and small, on the grassland looked quite impressive, with a strong aura of drowning the leaves. Slim. You're silly, I'll be a clone. You're already surrounded by us. Looking at the imposing slimes, Yi Bai smiled. The black shadow spread like tentacles under my feet, and a pair of crimson was about to move in the darkness. Come out, my shadow core. A gentle breeze blew by, and a slime jumped up but bounced back when it hit something. At some point, large patches of blue skin appeared on the empty grassland, with people wearing ninja costumes. A dark shadow enveloped the spear thrown by Yi Bai and merged into the shadow, appearing next to him. He transformed into a ninja and obediently returned the spear. Subsequently, the ninjas drew their samurai swords from their waist and aimed them at the slimes. This is just the beginning. As the shadows under my feet spread, more and more shadow ninjas emerged from it, almost covering the entire grassland. All the shadow ninjas received instructions from their masters, and their eyes turned simultaneously to the surrounded slimes. Slim. I can't afford to play, can't I? It's amazing to have so many people. Chapter 4. Rapid Upgrade. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. As a group of ninjas surrounded those poor slimes, Yi Bai grabbed a ninja and checked its attributes. Black Shadow Core. Ninjas, Occupation. Ninja Strength. 30 Physical Fitness. 20 Agility. 40 Spirit. 30 Passive. Black Shadow Core Skills. Shadow Shuttle LV-10, Breath Blocking LV-10 Equipment. Smoke Bomb, Dart, Samurai Knife, Shadow Core. Shadow Master gains 1 attribute evolution for each evolution. The attributes of ninjas are roughly equivalent to the level of level 5 for assassin-type job changers. Although they are not strong, they can still be upgraded. It's similar to upgrading a regular professional, both involve killing upgrades. During the killing process, the soul of the victim will be absorbed by the mask and become the nourishment for unlocking the mask. However, the skills of the Shadow Ninja are very interesting. Shadow Shuttle LV-10, Yi Bai remembers that the Shadow Ninja has the power to take people to the Shadow Kingdom. But Yi Bai doesn't want to go to that dangerous place now. The surrounded slime had been cruelly dismembered, and the ninjas put away their knives and knelt respectfully in front of Yi Bai. You killed Slime LV-1, experience plus 10, you killed Slime LV-1, experience plus 10, you have absorbed Slim's soul. Current progress is 0.3%, including the slime that was previously killed by Yi Bai with a spear. A total of 4 slimes provided Yi Bai with 40 points of experience. The experience bar increased by half, and with a few more, he could reach level 2. The collection of souls seems distant, but Yi Bai is not in a hurry. There are still many monsters in the novice dungeon, which are enough for Yi Bai to save souls to unlock the second mask. Anyway, it's all about killing monsters and upgrading. Yi Bai smiled as he looked at the densely packed ninjas around him. What else does he need to worry about with these ninjas around? Go ahead and kill all the monsters in the dungeon, Yi Bai ordered. As soon as the words fell, all the ninjas merged into the shadows and scattered in all directions. Yi Bai didn't have any free time and casually chose a direction to follow. He wants to see the combat effectiveness of the Shadow Ninjas. At the beginning of this idea, 2 ninjas emerged from the shadow and helped Yi Bai instantly reach the location where the battle broke out. This process startled Yi Bai, almost thinking that these Shadow Ninjas were about to send themselves to the Shadow Kingdom. Fortunately, it was just a false alarm, and the Shadow Ninjas just passed by the edge of the Shadow World with Yi Bai. As Yi Bai's gaze swept past the Shadow Kingdom, he saw many indescribable monsters fighting against each other, and the entire Shadow Kingdom was in chaos. Deacon Yi Bai glanced quickly and didn't see much, but the chaos in the Shadow Kingdom still left a deep impression on him. The scattered ninjas first encountered slime on the grassland. Faced with these splitting monsters, ninjas will slice them evenly in several times the number of each other, causing them to burst into mucus on the ground. Then Yi Bai received constant prompts. You killed Slime LV-1, experience plus 10, you have absorbed Slim's soul, currently 0.5%, soon, Yi Bai upgraded and his attributes also improved. Yi Bai, level 2, occupation. Shadow Mage, power. 30, constitution. 30, agile. 45, spirit. 60, talent. Shadow Master, 19, unique, skills. Shadow Arrow, LV2, Shadow Binding, LV2, Soul Collection. 1% just by upgrading 1 level, Yi Bai's attributes have been greatly improved, and as a mage, his spiritual attributes have reached an astonishing 60 points. And as the ninjas spread, his experience and progress in soul collection continued to grow wildly. Quickly, the surrounding slime was slaughtered, and due to being a novice dungeon, there were no drops. The only gain was experience and soul. Normally, novice job changers face many difficulties, such as not significantly different from monster attributes, limited skills, insufficient mana and stamina. It was already very difficult for them to clean up the split slime on the first day. So for most newcomers, even if they are in a team, the process of conquering new dungeons on the first day will not be very fast, and with experience sharing, upgrading to level 3 on the first day is considered good. And Yi Bai doesn't have that many problems anymore, he doesn't need to do it himself. As the last slime turned into a puddle of mucus, Yi Bai's level reached level 5 and his soul collection reached 51%. At the same time, Yi Bai also learned the third skill of his profession. Shadow Shield LV2. Consumes 50 mana to create a fully fitted shield that has 20% of the caster's mana and reduces enemy unit strength by 15% when subjected to melee attacks. A very ordinary skill, it still has the common weakening effect of shadow spells. If it is an ordinary Shadow Mage, the shield with 20% mana value is as fragile as paper. Not to mention assassin classes at the same level, even low-level warriors may be able to break it a few times. But Yi Bai is different, his attributes are high. At level 5, he already possesses 120 spiritual attributes, far exceeding his level peers. His ordinary shield skills can also make assassins despair. This is only level 1, and Yi Bai couldn't even imagine how thick the shield would be when this skill reached its full level. Let's try finding a monster. Yi Bai glanced around and twitched at the corners of the ninjas who had protected themselves tightly. If you want to try a skill, you may have to arrange it yourself, otherwise this protective method may not be able to see anything strange. P.S. New book seeking support. Chapter 5. Elite Monsters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's not easy to find living creatures from the hands of the Shadow Ninjas, their efficiency is really too high. As for Yi Bai's ability to check his attributes, he received several prompts on his end. You killed the swift rabbit, LV3, experience plus 30, you killed a rabid dog, LV4, experience plus 40, a new monster appears in the prompt, clearly crossing the grassland and arriving at the second forest area. Even as the dungeon progresses and the monster level rises, the killing progress of the Shadow Ninjas does not slow down at all. There's no way, the number of ninjas is really too many. Without group spells, the ninjas ravage the beginner dungeons like locusts. In addition, the main attribute of these ninjas is agility, and they can hide in the shadows at any time, making it easy to face ignorant monsters in the forest. Hundreds or even thousands of ninjas are hiding in the shadows and using cross darts to ambush. Who is not afraid of this scene? Yi Bai was startled as he passed by a monster that had been ambushed by the Shadow Ninjas. A 10-pound swift rabbit was pierced with 30 to 40 cross darts. We have found trace amounts of flesh and blood tissue in a large amount of metal. It's too cruel. Yi Bai couldn't help but sigh as the black Shadow Ninja shuttled through the shadows. Suddenly, his heart touched and he felt several Shadow Ninjas being scattered. The Shadow Ninja will not die, but after suffering a fatal attack, they will return to the Shadow Kingdom to read a note. As the monster level increases, black Shadow Ninjas also inevitably suffer casualties. At Yi Bai's signal, the ninjas took Yi Bai to the location where the ninjas were injured or killed. A porcupine covered in spikes appeared in front of Yi Bai, emitting a piercing scream. The spikes on its back raised, emitting bursts of cold light. Arrow Porcupine LV7, Elite, Skills. Arrow, Rolling, Arrow Rain. This monster is also considered quite powerful in the entire beginner dungeon, and the needles on its back can turn into deadly arrows at any time. And the attributes of elite-level monsters are also much higher than ordinary monsters, and if caught off guard, ninjas with attributes equivalent to LV5 assassins could really be killed in seconds. From the spikes nailed to the tree trunk, it appears that those sudden deaths of ninjas were caused by it. But its threat was nothing more than that. The Shadow Ninja was endless, and Yi Bai had already seen the crimson eyes in the forest staring at the porcupine. Ninjas do not engage in blind melee, and their combat experience is not low. They are able to independently determine the appropriate attack methods. Silver-white reflections have begun to appear in the shadows, and it is estimated that the next moment you will be able to use a cross dart to smash the porcupine to death. Yi Bai called a halt to the pig-killing activity, and large areas of ninjas dispersed into the shadows of the forest, leaving only 2 ninjas waiting by Yi Bai's side. The sudden disappearance of the surrounding enemies left the porcupine stunned for a while, but soon it shifted its attention to Yi Bai without any hesitation. A sharp arrow shot towards Yi Bai's face. Good day. Yi Bai waved his staff, spear, and shadow shield in his hand. A pitch-black shadow rose up and turned into a shield, attached to the ninja next to Yi Bai. The ninja instantly blocked in front of Yi Bai. Just kidding, Yi Bai doesn't know how effective his shield is yet, so he wouldn't experiment with himself. The immortal Shadow Ninja is the best experimental subject. The dark shadow formed an almost invisible thin shield on the ninja, which looked almost unchanged from a distance. However, with such a thin shield, there was no ripple when it was pierced by sharp arrows. On the contrary, when the sharp spike was corroded by shadows and fell to the ground, it appeared to be bumpy. Yi Bai felt it for a moment, but didn't feel it. The shield cost was also very low, and he could withstand at least 20 consecutive attacks of this level. This is an elite monster that is 2 levels higher than Yi Bai, but under the suppression of its attributes, its attack is not as good as tickling in front of Yi Bai. Realizing that his attack was not effective, the porcupine became angry as if taking gunpowder, curling up and rolling towards Yi Bai like a prickly ball. The ninja was not hesitant either, charging towards the spiking ball and quickly colliding with each other. The sharp spikes spun on the ninja like chainsaws, causing the shield to shine with a noticeable black light. The black light melted the spikes on the porcupine's body, while also merging into its body, slowing down its speed. The skill scrolled perfectly and triggered the shield effect, weakening the strength of the porcupine by 15%. Full score for shield defense effect. Next is the attack skill. Yi Bai raised his hand again, shadow binding. Several black shadow tentacles sprang up at the feet of the porcupine and wrapped around its body. At the point of contact, a large number of white eyes appeared, and the strong corrosive effect and the power on the tentacles made the porcupine scream in pain. Even the rolling skill stopped. A bit of a ghostly beast, Yi Bai muttered without pause, continuing to cast the spell. Shadow Arrow. The power of the shadow surged and condensed a dark arrow in front of Yi Bai, aiming at the trapped porcupine and shooting it. Chapter 6. Tips at the end of beginner dungeons. You are listening at novel full.audio. The shadow arrow was fast, and the porcupine was bound and had nowhere to escape, being instantly hit. The location hit by the shadow arrow immediately melted away a large amount of flesh and blood, revealing a dense white bone. The porcupine let out a mournful cry and immediately died. You killed the arrow porcupine, elite, LV7, experience plus 105, you have collected a soul, currently 57.3%, as Yi Bai watched the monster 2 levels higher than him fall so easily, a hint of excitement flashed in his eyes. If you are a beginner, even a classic team with a main player, output, and support, it will require a fierce battle against high-level elite monsters. And this kind of monster with long-range attack methods is simply a nightmare for beginners. But if you were alone, 2 attack skills would be instantly lost. I'm quite fast at brushing monsters myself, maybe. Yi Bai was thinking of suddenly noticing the continuous prompts. You killed the serrated wolf, elite, LV6, experience plus 90, you killed the mud monster, elite, LV8, experience plus 120, you killed the wild boar LV9, experience plus 90, in the blink of an eye, dozens of hints indicated that dozens of monsters had died at the hands of the ninjas, and Yi Bai, who was proud and planning to have a big fight, immediately vented his anger. Forget it, wait for the ninjas to complete the dungeon with peace of mind. Yi Bai murmured and found a place to sit down. He glanced at the porcupine corpse that had been eroded by shadow magic and suddenly had an idea. The idea had just been conveyed to the shadow ninjas, and a few seconds later, a shadow ninja knelt in front of Yi Bai with a wild boar on its back, skinned and boneless. Then dig a pit and start a fire, and the processed wild boar meat is hung on the fire. On the side, a shadow ninja watches the heat, while another uses compressed biscuits carried by Yi Bai to make barbecue seasoning. Smelling the roasted pig emitting grease, Yi Bai sat aside and swallowed his saliva, unable to help but cover his face. He was just thinking about it just now, he didn't expect the execution power of the shadow ninja to be so strong. In the blink of an eye, the arrangement was very appropriate. this is too exhausting. Yi Bai couldn't help but mutter as he watched the busy ninja grilling meat for him and listened to the constant killing prompts. But it doesn't seem bad either. With the increase of level, the double attribute of Yi Bai's physical strength has reached a non-human level. A wild boar quickly ate, and Yi Bai, who was full and well fed, just stretched lazily and felt the feedback from the shadow ninja. The monsters in the forest have been slaughtered. Yi Bai, who had consumed so much experience alone, remained at level 9. Yi Bai, level 9, 89%, occupation. Shadow Mage, power. 100, constitution. 100, agile. 150 spirit. 200 talent. Shadow Master, 19, unique, skills. Shadow Arrow, LV9, Shadow Binding, LV9, Shadow Shield, LV5, Soul Collection. 97.3% at this point, Yi Bai's attributes are already very amazing. As the level increases and the basic attributes increase, the increase brought by the mask will also become increasingly terrifying. But now the monsters in the forest have been cleaned up by the shadow ninjas, leaving only a relatively special place. That is a relic. In theory, that is where the dungeon boss is located. Once that is cleared, the beginner dungeon is considered cleared. At this point, the shadow ninja had already surrounded the area, waiting for Yi Bai to come and make a decision. The black shadow flickered, and Yi Bai instantly appeared in the depths of the forest. A grayish-white rock relic appeared in front of Yi Bai, and the style of this building was out of place with the novice dungeon. There were even 2 large characters carved by sharp tools on it. Push it. Yi Bai. Is this clear prompt really okay? I always feel something's wrong. After thinking for a moment, Yi Bai called a ninja to run and push the door, while he hid on the side and stared at it. A ninja transformed into a shadow and rushed to the stone gate, without any hesitation pushing open the gate of the ruins. A dark space emerged behind the door, and suddenly, a phantom wolf head rushed out from behind the door and opened its bloody jaws to bite the ninja. The ninja immediately transformed into a shadow, but its speed was too fast. As soon as its body merged into the shadow, it was devoured by the giant mouth. Yi Bai's face looked ugly for a moment. With the agility of the shadow ninja and the proficiency of LV10 Shadow Shuttle, it is impossible to avoid this huge mouth. Is this relic really something that should exist in novice dungeons? Most beginners of this thing will die whoever touches it. In a moment of suspicion, Yi Bai suddenly saw the wolf head open its mouth and spit out the saliva-soaked ninja. There are no wounds on the ninja, except for the disgusting saliva on his body, which can be said to be unscathed. Not very harmful, extremely insulting. Yi Bai couldn't even imagine herself covered in saliva. On the other side, the wolf's face showed a very humanized mocking expression, exploding with a bang, and the scattered light turned into a line of handwriting in the air. Reality is not a game, be careful of anything you encounter outside the city, danger will always accompany you. Chapter 7. Dungeon Boss, Humanoid Monster. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Obviously, that wolf head is a reminder left by a certain senior, in order to give a big blow to the newly satisfied newcomers who have just completed the beginner dungeon. The sudden appearance of a wolf's head is definitely terrifying and can cause significant psychological trauma for newcomers. It is this senior who always gives Yi Bai a strong sense of evil taste. Yi Bai glanced at the saliva-covered ninja and pursed his lips. That wolf head, who is clearly an energy body, can leave such realistic saliva. Apart from his evil taste, he really can't think of any words to describe that big shot. Waving his hand, the saliva-covered ninja retreated, and as the ninja disappeared, saliva scattered on the grass. Next is the boss battle. Yi Bai stared at the entrance of the Black Cave ruins. A bloody smell wafted out from the ruins, accompanied by the sound of heavy chains dragging. A humanoid monster holding a machete and wearing bloodstains appeared in front of Yi Bai. Forest Butcher LV10, Dungeon Boss, Passive. Bloody Killings, Limb Modifications, Skin Modifications, Failed, Active. Deadly Strike, Fury, Bloody Battle Roar, Bloody Slaughter. Ignoring any mental control, Limb Transformation. Double Strength Attribute, Reduced Control Effect by 30%, Skin Modification, Failed. Reduces ranged attack damage by 30% and increases melee attack damage by 50%, Deadly Strike. Consumes 5% health and deals double damage on the next attack, Rampage. Launched when health is below 40%, restores 50% health, Fatal Strike without consumption, lasts for 30 seconds, Bloody Battle Roar. Deals sonic damage to enemies and reduces their strength by 5%. Very strong, worthy of being the bottom boss of novice dungeons, with high resistance to control skills, super high strength attributes, and powerful burst skills, this monster can make many newcomers hesitate. What's more, the boss in front of me is actually a human figure. In addition to the strange dress and the fearsome machete, the appearance of the boss is almost the same as that of ordinary people. At first glance, it looks almost like a person. But with this butcher who looked no different from ordinary people, Yi Bai guessed that this boss had at least 400 points of power, and that with this blow, almost no beginner could withstand it. However, Yi Bai quickly discovered the abnormality of this boss. His waist was firmly locked by a silver-white chain the size of an adult's forearm, and the length of the chain was only enough for it to reach the gate of the ruins. The forest butcher soon noticed the life outside the ruins. He opened his eyes, his blood-colored pupils fixed on Yi Bai. Upon seeing the stranger, he immediately fell into a frenzy, roaring and unleashing his skills in a bloody battle. The substantial blood-colored sound waves spread out, causing the affected ninjas to shake their bodies and weaken their strength. Yi Bai raised a shadow shield in front of him, blocking the damage from the sound waves, but the weakening of his power still affected him. The weakening of power did not make Yi Bai feel any panic. He was not the main warrior, but a mage who relied on his brain to make a living. The attack of the forest butcher did not stop. He angrily charged towards Yi Bai, but was locked in a chain and unable to approach. The strong force tightened the chain, leaving deep marks on the grass by his strong legs. Yi Bai was not frightened. He stared at the forest butcher and pondered for a moment before making some guesses. It's truly a beginner's dungeon, everything is for training new players. Starting from entering the dungeon, first slime trains, then beasts see blood, and finally face the final humanoid monster. Step by step, fully transforming newcomers. But tying up the boss is too. Yi Bai scratched his head as he stared at the incompetent and furious forest butcher. The powerful power and instant burst of the forest butcher make close combat very dangerous, but the effect of skin modification, failure, is particularly eye-catching like a toxic cake. In the early stages, melee professions had basically no long-range attack methods, and ranged professions had to face factors such as insufficient mana and arrows. In addition, the weakening of long-range attacks and the enhancement of melee attacks will definitely make many people take risks. But for Yi Bai, it's not that troublesome anymore. Remote attack weakening. If you're not immune, the ninja army of labor and capital can smash you to death. The ninjas' cross darts are endless. Yi Bai waved his hand, and endless black shadow ninjas emerged from the shadows, holding endless cross darts from the Black Shadow Kingdom in their hands. Little ones, smash it for me. With Yi Bai's command, countless cross darts rained down on the forest butcher, and the dense cross darts wrapped him tightly like a metal ball with thorns. The ninjas have a high hit rate with their cross darts, and even though many of them collide with each other and land, most of them still fall on the forest butcher. The forest butcher roared in waves, but remained motionless. These cross darts didn't actually cause him much damage, and many of them didn't even penetrate his skin. Instead, they made a crisp sound and landed on the ground, leaving only a tiny white spot on his skin. But these cross darts do not cause high damage and are extremely insulting. In just an instant, the forest butcher has been buried by the cross darts, even blocking the ninja's next attack. Fortunately, these cross darts were all products of the Shadow Kingdom, and soon they merged into layers of shadows and returned to the hands of the shadow ninjas. As the cross dart gradually sank into the shadow, Yi Bai frowned as he stared at the forest butcher. I saw no wounds on the forest butcher's body, but there were many densely packed small white spots. But breaking the defense is still a long way off. He underestimated the defense of the forest butcher, and with the attack power of the shadow ninjas, he feared it would take several hours to grind. Yi Bai does not intend to waste too much time on the beginner dungeon. Sure enough, I still have value as a mage. Yi Bai almost regarded himself as a ninja launcher, but now he still needs to rely on himself to deal with this kind of defense. So, shadow binding. Yi Bai raised his hand, and countless shadow tentacles immediately rose from the forest butcher's feet, winding up. Chapter 8. Killing Boss, Second Mask. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. The shadow tentacles wrapped around the body of the forest butcher, and the tentacles with restrictive effects were instantly torn apart, but the places touched by the tentacles were stained with a layer of gray-white. The head of the forest butcher, who was given special care, was almost completely dyed gray-white. Yi Bai is now at level 9, and his built.In professional skills will increase with level. LV9's shadow binding can weaken the target's magic resistance by 30%. And his 200-point spiritual attribute also increased the damage of the shadow binding control skill significantly. The forest butcher was truly hurt, but this is only the beginning. Shadow Arrow. The pitch-black arrow shot out and hit the head of the forest butcher, causing the shadow to explode. The forest butcher let out a painful roar and blood splattered everywhere. Shadow Arrow has broken through. In the state where shadow binding reduces magic resistance by 30%, the 200 spirit attribute Shadow Arrow breaks through the defense and opens a hole in the head of the forest butcher. Moreover, there was widespread wound ulceration on the forehead of the forest butcher, and the weakening of armor from Shadow Arrow also had an effect. Similar to the value of shadow binding, 30% of armor is weakened. The Shadow Arrow dissipated, revealing the bloody forest butcher. Looking at the face that was almost identical to that of an ordinary person, Yi Bai's emotions fluctuated slightly, but soon regained calmness. Don't say that the other person just looks like a person. What if they are a person? What should be killed, what needs to be killed, why not kill it? Countless cross darts flew out maliciously towards the wound on the forest butcher's forehead, weakening his armor and tearing open his skin. The numerous cross darts caused him great damage. Quickly, his forest butcher's health bottomed out, accompanied by a terrifying roar, and he activated his skill, Fury. The skin of the forest butcher turned bright red, and blood surged in every move. His every ordinary attack turned into a fatal blow. Unfortunately, he still couldn't break free from his constraints and could only remain powerless and furious in place. The ninjas were still throwing cross darts, while Yi Bai was also watching the timing and throwing one shadow arrow after another. The defense weakening of both spells cannot stack, but Shadow Arrow is a high-damage single skill that can open up new attack windows for ninjas with just one shot. Soon, the forest butcher was covered in blood and flesh, on the brink of death. Almost done, let's deal with him. Yi Bai gave a cold order. Finally, 3 dark ninjas holding samurai swords emerged from the shadow beneath the forest butcher's feet, their sharp blades piercing into the butcher's forehead. The forest butcher suddenly erupted, and a huge machete cut through the waist of 3 ninjas. Undoubtedly a dungeon boss, even with such damage, it still has deadly attack power. But that's all for now. More ninjas appeared, one after another, piercing the forest butcher's forehead with their samurai swords. The butcher struggled to the death, but no matter how many ninjas he tore up, they would constantly emerge like a tide. In the end, the forest butcher fell, carrying over 30 samurai swords pierced through his forehead, and the densely packed blades almost completely tore open his skull. A light emanated from Yi Bai's body. He upgraded and the prompt sounded accordingly. You killed Dungeon Boss, Forest Butcher LV10, experience plus 300, you have gained your soul, current progress is 121%, your talent Shadow Lord has been upgraded, and you have unlocked the mask. IK, Black Mask Ika. Can summon the Black Shadow Core. Night Core, increasing all your attributes by 100%, and your physical attributes by an additional 100%, you have reached level 10 and obtained the skill. Shadow Sting, Shadow Spike. Summons sharp shadow spikes within a specified 5-meter range of shadows, causing spell damage based on spiritual attributes and erosion effects, erosion. Weakens all attributes by 5%, stackable. At this point, the second mask has been unlocked and Yi Bai's attributes have changed. Yi Bai, level 10, 2%, occupation. Shadow Mage, power 165, constitution. 220, agile. 220 spirit. 330 talent. Shadow Master, 29, unique, skills. Shadow Arrow, LV10, Shadow Binding, LV10, Shadow Shield, LV6, Shadow Ground Sting, LV1, Soul Collection. 0.2% after reaching level 10, Yi Bai once again acquired a skill, which is truly within the scope of the mage's output skill. However, what's more important is that the unlocking of the new mask surprisingly brought unexpected joy, with attributes gaining bonuses again and physical attributes gaining additional bonuses. The dungeon boss has been eliminated. You have cleared the beginner dungeon and are currently teleporting. In a whirlwind, in the blink of an eye, Yi Bai had already appeared outside the door of the novice dungeon. At this moment, it had just been 5 hours since Yi Bai entered the dungeon. At this point, it is not yet time for the first batch of players to rest in the dungeon. The crowd near the dungeon gate is mostly self-righteous individuals who want to pass the dungeon alone. Unfortunately, reality gave them a big challenge, and they had no ability to complete the dungeon alone. They had to withdraw midway and wait for other teams to come out and rest to see if they could join the team midway. Unfortunately, those who join midway will drag down the accumulated time of the team strategy dungeon, so it is very difficult to join other teams. So these people started discussing forming their own teams. Anyway, everyone is the loser of solo dungeons, who can still despise anyone. Seeing Yi Bai come out, these people thought another similar person had arrived and quickly rushed up in a swarm. "Brother, you also lost the dungeon strategy, right?" a person enthusiastically asked. "Do you want to team up together? We already have 3 of us, and with you, that's enough." Yi Bai glanced and the person shook their head. "Don't be stubborn, brother. The big exam is coming up, and delaying for an extra second would be irresponsible to yourself." The person became anxious. "You don't want to wait for those people who have already formed a team to come out, do you? It's useless, they won't let you join and pull their ratings." "What I mean is, I don't need it." Yi Bai easily dodged the person's attempt to pull his palm, demonstrating his level. Yi Bai, Shadow Mage LV10, at the moment this word appeared, the chattering crowd fell into a deathly silence. It's like a group of college entrance exam repeating students wanting to invite someone to repeat the exam together, but the other person doesn't want to speak and just shares the admission notice from Peking University and Tsinghua University. Chapter 9. The Decision of Yi Shuanghan. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Professional, Yi Bai, clearance time of 5 hours and 7 minutes, rated as excellent. In the professional hall outside the novice dungeon, the staff's voice trembled as they read out Yi Bai's clearance time and rating. "Congratulations, Mr. Yi Bai. Your rating has been included in your file." The staff returned Yi Bai's ID card, and throughout the process, they almost regarded him as an idol. 5 hours and 7 minutes. Oh my God, is this a record-breaking record? At this moment, several losers waiting to form teams in the professional hall listened to the staff's words as if thunder was ringing in their ears. The fastest record in history for beginner dungeons is also 11 hours, and Yi Bai has shortened this time by half. Yi Bai also understood that he probably had created an incredible record, and someone had already taken out his phone to shoot a video for him. He didn't care either and said to the staff, "Hello, can I directly apply for an exit permit here?" "Of course, no problem." The staff of Star Eye quickly said, "Please give me your ID card." Yi Bai handed over his ID card again and watched as the other party put a steel stamp on it, with a smile on his face. So he can leave the city, and the door to the new world officially opens like him. Taking back his identity card and refusing the staff's signature request, Yi Bai left the novice dungeon in the admiration of the crowd, and then rushed to the city wall area without stopping. What he didn't know was that the news about him completing the beginner dungeon in 5 hours was quickly uploaded online. In a hotel in a satellite town outside the main city, a hot and red-haired girl lay on the bed without any image, brushing her phone. At this moment, a fierce argument came from outside the room, but it did not affect the girl at all. She still watched the video on her own and occasionally let out silver bell-like laughter. Suddenly, she stopped and stared at the boy in the video for 2 seconds. The door was pushed open, and a well-proportioned and cold-looking black straight girl walked in with a cold face. "Those two people haven't had a good argument yet," the girl asked in a voice when she saw her best friend's face not looking right. The black and straight girl shook her head helplessly, and then a roar erupted outside the door. "Yi Shuanghan, there is me but not him in this team, there is him but not me." Upon hearing the sound outside the door, Yi Shuanghan's face became even more ugly. "Ah, it seems our team is going to break up." The red-haired girl got up from the bed. "What should we do? These two people obviously don't want to team up together. Who are you planning to keep?" The team that Yi Shuanghan is in is a very classic team, consisting of 4 members including auxiliary, assassin, mage, and main T. But due to some things, the main T and the mage had a conflict, even to the point of irreconcilable conflict. Yi Shuanghan's face showed hesitation. The red-haired girl chuckled and jumped up, her figure suddenly disappearing. She suddenly appeared behind Yi Shuanghan and hugged his neck. Surprisingly, it is an extremely rare teleportation skill. "Why don't we just leave them all behind? We can fly together." The girl rubbed against Yi Shuanghan's tender little face. "Han Tong." Yi Shuanghan drank helplessly and pushed away Han Tong, who was playing the hooligan. "Be clear-headed, don't forget what our purpose is, 2 people. It's impossible for 2 people. Don't worry, be careful of pimples on your face." Han Tong jumped away regretfully. "Don't think about those bad things for now, let me show you some good news." She took out her phone and leaned in front of Yi Shuanghan, showing her the video she had just watched. "This is your younger brother, isn't it? The young man is still so handsome, I recognized him at a glance. Xiao Bai." Yi Shuanghan looked down at the video in confusion and was stunned when he saw the title. Shocked. In the main city of Linjiang, a new record of 5 hours of solo clearance for novice dungeons has been revealed. Surprisingly, the identity of the clearance person is. Yi Shuanghan directly ignored the title with little nutrition, and his gaze fell on the young man in the video who only showed a profile and back. That face, Yi Shuanghan, couldn't possibly admit it wrong. Xiao Bai cleared the beginner dungeon in 5 hours. Or was he alone? Yi Shuanghan couldn't believe it. "Hee, are you happy now? Don't worry, we all know what those 2 second-rate guys are thinking. Why don't we just kick them away and find our teammates again?" Han Tong said with a smile. Yi Shuanghan remained silent for a moment while watching the video and suddenly said, "You're right, we should find new teammates." Han Tong was surprised and looked at Yi Shuanghan's face without any hesitation. "You don't plan to let your novice join us, do you? At this critical moment, where should we find reliable new teammates?" Yi Shuanghan asked in response. "Ah. It seems like there isn't one, but when your little white just cleared the beginner dungeon, his level is a bit lower than ours. Han Tong scratched his head in distress. The minimum level for participating in that is level 20, and there is still 1 month left. There is still hope. Shuanghan's voice remained calm, but from her expression, she herself was also somewhat uncertain. What about career issues? We don't know Xiao Bai's profession yet. Currently, there are only 2 fragile professions in our team. If Xiao Bai is also a fragile profession, let's. Han Tong continued. Don't forget, Xiao Bai cleared the beginner dungeon alone. Shuanghan interrupted Han Tong. You should know about the beginner dungeon in our main city of Linjiang. That forest butcher. After a year, recalling the carefree personality of the novice boss Han Tong still made me feel uneasy. Shuanghan nodded and said, being able to complete the beginner dungeon and kill the forest butcher in 5 hours alone is very strong, no matter what profession the novice belongs to. So. Is that settled? Han Tong was convinced by Shuanghan. Wait, let's ask for Xiao Bai's opinion. Shuanghan took out his phone. I'll call and ask. She dialed the number and soon reluctantly put down her phone. What's going on? No one answered. Not in the service area. Shuanghan put down his phone. He won't be leaving the city, will he? Han Tong's eyes were full of brilliance. It seems that your novice is still a battle maniac. Shuanghan didn't speak, but a pleased expression appeared on his face. Let's go back, Shuanghan said. By the way, I personally bought the magic pig in the team's warehouse. Oh, are you going to cook for yourself? Han Tong jumped towards Shuanghan and saw her reach out to block an arm that was teleporting away from her, hanging on her like a koala. Tai. Take me one, I haven't eaten the dish you made in a long time. Don't use teleportation in such a place. Chapter 10. Professional Trading Hall. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Linjiang Main City, North Gate. Yi Bai stood under the towering city wall, looking at the wall engraved with a large number of mystical runes and various formations, and couldn't help but sigh. This is the city wall that protects the main city of Linjiang, which embodies the extraordinary existence of the concept of equipment built by professionals from all over the country. It protects the ordinary people inside the city from the invasion of beasts outside, but also traps them. Fortunately, Yi Bai himself is no longer an ordinary person. He has the right to step out of the city wall and see the real world. Hello, sir, please show me your ID card. The guards at the city gate stopped Yi Bai, and after checking his identity card, they saluted Yi Bai before releasing him. After leaving the city gate, there is no direct entry into the wilderness area, but a professional trading area that serves as a buffer zone. In addition to shops lined with battle marks on both sides of the street, there is also a trading hall adjacent to the city gate. The trading hall is a functional building that integrates commission, listing for sale, exchange, employment, and recycling. Compared to other chambers of commerce, the trading hall has been purchasing most basic materials at a constant price for a long time, selling common goods to provide a stable source of income and consumables for new professionals. It also has a stabilizing effect on prices, preventing a certain chamber of commerce from monopolizing and causing excessive price increases for a certain commodity. Yi Bai walked into the trading hall, where there were no staff, only stone pillars arranged one by one. Many people seemed to be standing in front of the pillars looking at something. Due to its location in the outer city, ordinary people cannot serve as staff here, and all actions can be observed and carried out on the stone pillars. Yi Bai found an empty stone pillar and reached out to touch it. Test passed, user. Yi Bai, you have a credit point of 0. Credit point is a credit currency exclusively for professionals, which is issued and maintained by the state and does not connect with the currency of ordinary people. As a pure newcomer, Yi Bai naturally does not have any credit points, but this does not prevent him from checking the basic products sold in the trading hall and the props hung up by others. Firstly, it is the most basic red medicine and blue medicine. Weak healing potion. Immediately restore 5% health after taking, then recover 20% health within 10 seconds. Price 10 credit points / bottle. Weak mana potion. Restores 50 mana points within 30 seconds after taking. Selling price 10 credit points / bottle. Under normal circumstances, the price of mana potions will be much higher than that of healing potions, but in the trading hall, the prices of the two are forcibly matched. In addition to these two commonly used props, there are also some basic equipment. Equipment is graded by color, with basic beginner equipment being white, and higher level equipment being green, blue, purple, gold, and red in ascending order. Another very expensive product is skills. For example, a skill scroll that ye buy saw. Fearless Charge, Melee Profession, price 50,000 credit points. This is a skill with a body-dominating effect, which is consignment here by others, so the price is expensive, but it is also worth it. But this has nothing to do with ye buy, he doesn't have any credit points. After a brief understanding of prices, Yi Bai began to understand the recycling prices of materials. In addition to the long-term recycling provided by the trading hall itself, the trading hall also has commissions from various chambers of commerce. Long-term recycling, hemostatic herb, ivy, and mouse fruit with 20 credit points per serving, Iron Bull Chamber of Commerce, long-term acquisition of various animal skins, bones and other materials, price negotiable, Jichen Blacksmith Shop, long-term acquisition of various ores, cherishing metals, price is determined by product appearance. Besides that, there were many more, and Yi Bai didn't continue to watch. In short, almost every material brought back from outside the city can be sold at a stable price in the trading hall, while selling to private chambers of commerce depends on the market situation. In short, as long as there is some harvest outside the city, there is no need to worry about the materials falling into one's own hands. Those lifestyle professionals rely on these materials to train their skills, and through their manual processing, the selling price can double. After learning this information, Yi Bai stopped and turned to walk towards the wild area. As soon as he entered the wilderness area, Yi Bai heard the roar of beasts and occasional human curses coming from around. A faint sense of danger fills every corner here. This is the wilderness environment, completely different from the tranquility and peace within the city. Yi Bai looked around and raised his hand to summon his own shadow core. Ninjas emerged from the shadows around them one by one. At this point, Yi Bai's Dark Shadow Dominator talent has been upgraded, and these ninjas have not fallen, and their attributes have been upgraded. Black Shadow Core. Ninjas, Occupation. Ninja Strength. 150 Physical Fitness. 100 Agility. 400 Spirit. 150 Passive. Black Shadow Core Skills. Shadow Shuttle LV-10, Breath Blocking LV-10 Equipment. Smoke Bomb, Dart, Samurai Knife, Shadow Core. Shadow Master gains 1 attribute evolution for each evolution. Skills and equipment have not changed, except for a terrifying increase in attributes. Normal attributes have increased by 5 times, while agile attributes have increased by 10 times. This is much more than the attributes that Yi Bai has worked hard to upgrade. Well, it's not that hard either. All the hard work is done by ninjas, and they deserve it when they become stronger. Anyway, what benefits them is also themselves. Then there's another shadow core. Yi Bai communicated with another mask, and a thick shadow emerged, with warriors wearing thick armor emerging from the shadow.